Good afternoon and thanks for tuning in. I'm Holly Shields, welcoming you all to another edition of Kalkine TV's Executive Corner Expert Talks. Amidst the high market competition and the recent hikes in petrol prices, it may feel challenging to sustain and grow your e-commerce business. However, there are some ways to get an upper hand in the market. And to help us understand this subject a bit better, we're narrowing in on a leading e-commerce enabler and logistics company that assists businesses in optimizing online sales and product shipping. Bdynamic works with many big-name brands like Aldi, Costco, Bdynamic, and the Universal Music Group. And joining us today is co-founder and CEO Jam Pathirana. Welcome to the show, Jam. It's great to have you with us.
Thanks for having me, Holly. Nice to be here.
It's a pleasure to have you on. First and foremost, we know that online sales in Australia have increased over the past couple of years, and the online share of retail spending is now over 16% and growing. What do you think, I should say, has propelled this growth?
I guess is the technology development, like easy and affordable access to technology, and then the rapid adaptation of smartphones really kind of ignite this search for e-commerce initially, and people, as you know, everyone's quite busy these days, so looking for convenience of shopping, so be able to buy products anywhere, anytime. So those are the key things initially helped for online growth. But as you all know, COVID pandemic actually helped to increase that growth, e-commerce growth. So consumers didn't have much options. They couldn't go to their retailers to buy their day-to-day stuff. So that really drives for many business to think outside the box and change their business model and coming up with taking the full advantage of online business. So that pretty much helped the growth of online business in very high level.
You're absolutely right there. It certainly has played a part in accelerating it there. And speaking of which, how does Bdynamic actually help clients to drive these sales?
Yeah, so Bdynamic is a e-commerce enabler. What's that mean? We are like a one-stop shop for e-commerce. So our purpose is helping business to create their online business easy and successful. So we are pretty much start the journey from design and development of the e-commerce platform, or integrate the existing platforms, and doing to warehousing, pick pack, last mile delivery, payment collection, and also support and return management activities. So where we see the real opportunity, those large business often lack agility to service non-traditional channels, and they need help. Their existing supply chain don't have that capabilities to support. Good example, we've been working with Rickard Bankisa on Dettol. As you know, with COVID, everyone's looking for hand sanitizers, etc. So Rickard Bankisa, they're looking at their traditional way of distributing Dettol products is to their retail supermarkets, and they didn't have a way to go to non-traditional channels like accessing to 5,000 plus cricket clubs in Australia, grassroots cricket, and accessing to shopping centers like Mirvac Shopping Center, etc. So we came to play, like we saw the opportunity to help that kind of large business, helping in these non-traditional channels. So that's where we kind of help the growth for those business. And also another thing helping us to grow pretty much many other business, their existing supply chain don't have that speed to market. Like especially like the pandemic time, they were looking for people the service providers can do things quickly as possible, and then also affordability is very important when you're doing online. As you know, it's a very competitive market out there. So that's where we come to play, and that's where we actually helping many business. Like a good example, another example, Aldi. We probably less than 12 months ago, we launched Aldi eCommerce. So we are pretty much end-to-end we design and develop their e-commerce platform, shop.lt.com.au, to warehousing their products, doing all the distribution. Currently, we do distribution Eastern Seaboard. They planning to expand that nationally soon. And we done all that, like end to end distribution, and few other customers to mention. Universal Music, they have hundreds of different artists, so they're merchandising all the distribution locally. So especially like the pandemic time, people purchasing online. I mean, Dimex online, one of another customer that we are currently working with. It's a great example. Suddenly, people start reading books in the lockdown environment, and the book order numbers increase significantly, and their existing supply chain, which they were doing online shipment through their George Street, the shop, the back of their shop, and they couldn't cope up with the demand. So that's when Bdynamic came to help those customers. So that's pretty much few examples just to see how we're helping our customers to grow their online business.
Right, and that is great to hear. It sounds like Bdynamic has really successfully risen to the challenges there that the pandemic has presented with all this demand incoming. But those end-to-end solutions sound like they've been very effective in really giving your customers, I think, that full-scale support there that they really need.
That's correct. That's absolutely right. So, what we are selling more than supply chain, logistics, e-commerce, we sell the flexibility. Where we see the opportunity as a business, customers are, especially like something that you unexpected environment, like the pandemic, like last 2 years. They were looking for service provider to provide that flexibility, agility, and then do things very fast and quick to get capture those opportunities quickly as possible, as well as affordable. So those are the three things as company that we are focusing on: agility, affordability, and go to market fast. So that's really helped us to grow our business significantly.
Well, that's great to hear, and those certainly are very key aspects there, so it's great to hear that you are focusing on those. And although on the other end, we are seeing rising prices at the moment, which are a huge concern, as I'm sure you're quite aware, given the economic instability at the moment. So in your opinion, how can businesses strike a balance between meeting the rising cost and the risk of losing revenue?
Yeah, again, adaptation to the situation is very important, for any business. So how do you innovate? So one of the things that I would suggest, for online business to consider their offering product offering to their customers. Can you look at way to bundle things together? Create additional value for customers. And same time, when you do bundling things, if you increase their volume, because the challenge that you have, Holly, because the price, the overhead costs are increasing, and the operational costs are increasing, and your margins actually decreasing. So you need to really be innovative to grow your business in a difficult market. So I would recommend everyone to think outside the box and look at like as I said, bundling products, packaging products together. Look at more volumes. How can you create more volumes, and even offer customers, like when you rather than ship one order, for them, encourage them to buy 2 or 3 products. In that way, you actually save money in shipping. And one important thing for any business situation like this, looking at how to reduce your cost, looking at cutting down unnecessary overheads, and you can do that by improving your process and increasing the efficiencies and things like that. So it's a really good time to look at looking at your existing processes and see whether you can see any improvement and cost savings there. And one other thing that I could suggest, I may be a little bit biased because we are one of the service providers, is look for a 3PL company. You may be really good at what you're doing in terms of selling your product, but things like doing pick pack warehousing, pick pack distributing, last mile delivery. Let someone know and done this many times. To focus on that, where you get the massive benefit, like economy of scale, because like 3PL companies like us, we send tens of thousand orders a day, so we should be able to get that benefit. We can pass that benefit back to our customers and reduce the cost. And we have the ability to negotiate costing with our suppliers. We are in a much better position, I would say. So that's something that for you to consider. Reducing, because most of our the advantage of 3PL company, third party logistic company, we share resources. You can't ever, when you're running a small business, you can't ever hire half a head, half a resource. So this is where you get the really good savings and benefit using a third party logistic company. So you don't have to pay for the whole empty warehouse or empty space, or a full staff, or a half a forklift or full forklift. You pay for what you use. So that's where you can really save money. And so I would suggest to consider those options.
Absolutely, very well said there. I think you've shared some very solid advice that I do completely agree with, especially in terms of meeting those challenges. As you said, innovation is key, and considering your options, and there are obviously many beneficial options out there. I think those should be considered. So overall, very well said there. Thanks very much. And with that said, it's been really great to hear your insights today, Jam. Thanks very much for joining us on Executive Corner Expert Talks.
Thank you. Thanks for having me again.
It's a pleasure to have you on the show. And thanks as well for your time, viewers. If you've just joined us, that was the co-founder and CEO of Bdynamic, Jam Pathirana. They're doing some incredible work in this space, so keep an eye out. And remember to stay apprised and invest wise with Kalkine.